All right, welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're really getting into something that I think is like the secret sauce, the hidden ingredient behind achieving, well, pretty much anything that truly matters. Definite desire.
Yeah, spot on. We've got two really fascinating sources that we're going to be diving into with you today. First up, we have some excerpts that just go straight to the heart of it. They break down exactly what this definite desire thing is all about, and more importantly, what happens when you just don't have it. It's like the core mechanics of the whole idea.
I like that, the core mechanics. So we're getting into the nuts and bolts.
Exactly.
And then, of course, we're going back to Napoleon Hill's classic Think and Grow Rich. I mean, this book, it's been around for, what, almost a century?
Yeah, something like that.
But it just doesn't get old, you know? I think it's because the principles he lays out, they're timeless. And this whole idea of definite desire, it's right there at the foundation.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many, like, wildly successful people from all walks of life keep coming back to this idea that you absolutely have to have that clarity of wanting.
Definitely.
So that's what this deep dive is all about. Figuring out what this definite desire thing really is, why it's such a game changer, and most importantly, how you, the listener, can actually use this in your own life.
Yeah, how you can use this to get more focused,
Yeah.
to like supercharge your motivation, and to start attracting the opportunities that, the opportunities that you're actually looking for.
Okay, so let's start unpacking this. When we say definite desire, I mean, what are we really talking about here?
Right.
Our pasted text, it emphasizes that this is about having like this laser focus on what you're working towards. No beating around the bush, no ambiguity, just a crystal clear image of your goal.
Right. And that right there, that's what starts to eliminate all that wasted effort on things that just don't matter. It helps you focus on what truly moves the needle.
It's interesting because, it's almost like you're saying that having this clear picture, this definite desire, it actually changes how you perceive things, what you notice, even what you consider.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, think of it like tuning a radio. When you have that definite desire, you're dialed into the exact frequency of your goal. So you're much more likely to pick up on signals and information that are relevant, things that can actually help you get there.
Makes sense?
But without that clear frequency, without that definite desire, you're just kind of scanning across the dial, picking up static, never really locking onto anything meaningful.
I see what you mean. So if you don't have that, what happens? What are the consequences of not having that clarity, that definite desire?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is motivation. If you don't know where you're going, if you don't have a specific destination in mind, it's really, really hard to keep pushing forward when things get tough. You kind of lose steam.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. If you don't have that clear goal, that definite desire, why would you bother putting in all that effort, especially when things get challenging?
Exactly. And then there's the missed opportunities, right?
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
You might be surrounded by amazing chances, but if you haven't defined exactly what you're looking for, you're just going to overlook them.
It's like trying to find a specific tool in a completely cluttered workshop when you don't even know what the tool looks like.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah, it's just kind of rummaging around aimlessly.
Right.
Now, when we look at Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, he actually puts this whole idea of knowing what you want, he makes it the absolute first step on the path to achieving riches. And remember, he's not just talking about money here. He's talking about like a rich life.
Right. Financial well-being,
Yeah.
sure, but also like mental growth, fulfilling relationships, that sense of purpose, all of it.
It's like he's saying, look, if you don't nail this first step, the rest of this philosophy, it's not going to have the same impact on you.
I think that's a really good point.
And he doesn't mess around. Right at the beginning, he drops in these endorsements from some incredibly influential people, like huge names. And there's this one quote that really stuck with me. It's, let me see if I can find it. Ah, here it is. These facts, and they are facts well known to almost everyone who knew Mr. Carnegie, give you a fair idea of what the reading of this book may bring to you, provided you know what it is that you want.
It's almost like a warning, isn't it?
Yeah, kinda.
Like, pay attention. This is important.
Now, to really bring this concept to life, Hill tells the story of this guy, Edwin C. Barnes. This story, it's pure, definite desire in action. Barnes, he didn't just want a job at Thomas Edison's company, right?
Yeah, well.
His definite desire, it was way bigger. He wanted to work with Edison as his partner.
And that right there, that's a perfect example of how definite desire, it's not just some fleeting thought, it's a driving force.
And think about it, he was starting with, like, nothing. No personal connection to Edison, barely enough money to like buy a train ticket to New Jersey. I mean, most people would have just given up right
I know I would have.
yeah, probably me too.
Yeah.
But Barnes, his desire, it wasn't just a wish, it was like a deep, unshakable conviction.
And he didn't let those initial obstacles, those things that would have stopped most people dead in their tracks, he didn't let them become excuses.
Right. He found a way to get to Edison, and even though that partnership, it didn't happen right away, he was willing to take a lower level job just to be in Edison's orbit.
And you know what's interesting? Just being there, being in that environment, because his mind was so fixed on his goal, on his definite desire, he was able to spot an opportunity that everyone else, including Edison himself, had completely missed.
That's amazing. So it's like having that clear vision, that definite desire, it actually makes you more perceptive, more attuned to possibilities that might otherwise just pass you by.
Right.
Now, this kind of leads us into the next concept, which is a burning desire.
Okay, yeah.
In our pasted text, it talks about how a burning desire, it's like rocket fuel.
I like that.
It just amplifies your motivation and it gives you that resilience to overcome any obstacle that pops up.
Right.
And Think and Grow Rich, it backs this up big time. Hill talks about the importance of cultivating a burning desire to win. He even uses this pretty dramatic analogy. He talks about burning your boats.
Oh, yeah. No retreat.
Exactly. When you are absolutely committed, when you've completely eliminated any possibility of backing out, that's when your desire really starts to burn.
No plan B.
No plan B. It makes me think of the story Hill tells about those Chicago merchants after that massive fire. You know, most of them, they just looked at the destruction and said, okay, it's over. We're out of here.
Yeah. They just assumed the city was finished.
But there was this one guy, Marshall Field. He had this burning desire to rebuild right there on the same spot where his store had been destroyed. He didn't hesitate, didn't even think twice. He was like, I'm going to build the greatest store in the world right here, right now.
And he did.
He did. And it makes you think, right, what are the fires in your own life? Those moments, those setbacks, those challenges, that might tempt you to just give up and walk away.
That's a good question.
And how can you tap into that burning desire, that unwavering commitment to rebuild, to come back stronger, to create something even better than what was lost?
Yeah. What's your world's greatest store?
Exactly. So we've talked about how definite desire gives you focus, how a burning desire gives you that incredible motivation.
Right.
But there's this other interesting idea that pops up in our pasted text. It hints at something almost like magic. It suggests that when you have this intense, clear focus, opportunities, they kind of start to find you.
Yeah. It's like the universe conspires to help you.
Almost. And Think and Grow Rich connects this to wealth creation in a really fascinating way. Hill argues that money is made through desire. But it's not just any desire, right? It's desire that has been transformed through focused planning and action into its monetary equivalent. He emphasizes that money itself, it's inert. It's not just going to magically appear.
Right.
It responds to the call of someone who truly desires it and who has a clear, well thought out plan to get it.
So you have to put in the work.
Yeah.
The desire is the fuel, but you got to build the engine.
Right. It's almost like, you know, having that definite desire, it sends out a signal to the world, a beacon that says, hey, I'm ready for this. This is what I'm looking for.
I like that. A beacon.
And, you know, if we go back to Edwin C. Barnes, we see this in action again. He was working at Edison's company doing these like seemingly ordinary tasks.
Right.
But because his mind was so focused on his goal, on that partnership, he was able to spot this like golden opportunity that everyone else had completely missed.
The story of Edison's dictating machine.
Right. Yes. That's the one. Edison himself, his sales team, they weren't excited about it. It wasn't selling.
Nobody saw the potential. Except Barnes.
And that's because he had that definite desire, that partnership with Edison. He saw value where others didn't. So he took this like neglected invention and he turned it into a success. And that's what ultimately got him that partnership.
It's amazing, isn't it, how one opportunity can change everything. But you have to be ready for it. You have to be able to see it.
Exactly. Now, let's shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
Our pasted text, it gives us some examples of like really big companies we all know that seem to embody this whole definite desire thing on a massive scale.
Yeah, like they've taken this individual principle and applied it to their entire organization.
Exactly, like Tesla. Their mission to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy, I mean, that's a huge, bold, definite desire.
It's what drives all their innovation. Everything they do, it comes back to that core desire.
Right. And then you have Amazon. Their whole thing is customer obsession. They want to be the best, the absolute best at serving their customers. That's their bedrock.
And SpaceX, their goal to make humanity multiplanetary. I mean, that's mind-blowing. They're pushing the boundaries of what's possible, all driven by this incredibly ambitious, definite desire.
And these aren't just like vague slogans. They're serious commitments.
For sure.
And Think and Grow Rich. It gives us some really cool historical examples that kind of mirror this.
Like the story of Asa Candler and Coca-Cola.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
You have this unique product, a secret formula, but it was Candler's vision, his definite purpose, to build this global empire around this drink that really made it a phenomenon.
He didn't just stumble into it. He
Right.
had this clear intention, this burning desire to make it huge. And he combined that with his knowledge of the product, his marketing savvy.
And imagination. Don't forget the imagination.
Right. And then there's this incredible story of Dr. Frank Gonzalez. He had this incredibly definite purpose. He wanted to start this new college, a place where he could put his educational ideas into practice.
Yeah, he had a very specific vision.
But he needed $1 million. $1 million. Back then, that was an insane amount of money.
Oh, yeah. A fortune.
And what's so striking about this story is the absolute conviction behind his desire. This wasn't just some wish, it was a deep consuming passion. And so he's giving this sermon and he's talking about his vision for this college. And he's saying with this $1 million, we can make this happen.
He's putting it out there.
He's putting it out there. And get this, the very next day, a member of his congregation, this guy, Philip D. Armour, he comes to Dr. Gonzalez and says, I was so moved by your sermon, by your vision, I want to give you the $1 million.
Just like that.
Just like that. It's wild, right? I mean, it shows you the power of a clearly stated, deeply felt desire.
Yeah.
It can literally attract resources.
It's incredible.
So both Candler and Dr. Gonzalez, they understood that you need more than just hard work. You need a powerful idea, a definite purpose, and a plan to make it real.
Absolutely.
And this brings us to the how-to part of it all.
The practical application.
Our pasted text really emphasizes the importance of knowledge, but it's not just any knowledge, it's specialized knowledge, and then combining that with creative thinking.
Right.
Back to Asa Candler, he was a marketing genius. He knew how to take this drink, this Coca-Cola, and use his imagination to turn it into something much bigger than just a beverage.
Yeah.
And Think and Grow Rich, it totally agrees with this. Hill says that knowledge alone, it's not enough. It's organized knowledge, knowledge that you can actually use. That's what matters.
It got to be directed, applied.
Right. And he uses Henry Ford as an example. He says that Ford, he wasn't necessarily the most educated guy, but he had this amazing ability to get the knowledge he needed and then use it effectively. And a big part of that, Hill says, was Ford's mastermind group.
Yeah, that's a key concept.
So it's not just about having information floating around in your head. It's about knowing what information you need, how to find it, and most importantly, how to put it into action to achieve your definite desire.
Totally agree.
And then there's this other really interesting element, which is imagination.
Okay, yeah.
And Think and Grow Rich, it actually breaks imagination down into two types, synthetic and creative.
Interesting.
So synthetic imagination, it's kind of like taking things you already know, ideas, concepts, and sort of remixing them, putting them together in new ways.
Like a chef coming up with a new dish by combining familiar ingredients.
Exactly. And then creative imagination, that's like coming up with something totally new, something that's never been seen before.
Okay, so two sides of the same coin.
Right. And Hill says that for turning your desire into reality, for actually making it happen, that synthetic imagination, that's the key. It helps you develop those practical step-by-step plans.
And he gives a very specific piece of advice, which is to actually write down your definite desire and your plan for achieving it.
Oh, yeah. Putting it in writing, making it tangible.
It's like it takes it from this abstract thought to something concrete.
Right. Now, another thing that both of our sources really emphasize is the importance of persistence. I mean, this one's huge.
Absolutely.
Our pasted text talks about how businesses, they fail all the time because they lack persistence, they change their strategies too often, or they give up too easily when they hit a roadblock.
They just don't stick with it long enough to see results.
And Think and Grow Rich, it devotes a whole section to this. Helles tells this story about Mr. Darby and his uncle who were mining for gold. They actually hit a vein, a good one, but then it seemed to disappear.
Oh, no.
So they get discouraged, they think it's over, and they sell the mine.
What had been missed?
Well, the guy who bought it, He hired a mining engineer, and guess what? They found a massive gold deposit just 3 feet from where Darby and his uncle had stopped digging.
Oh, wow.
Talk about heartbreaking,
Yeah.
but it's a powerful lesson. Darby learned the hard way that giving up too soon, it can be devastating. So he made this resolution to never give up again, no matter what. And he went on to become super successful in the insurance industry, all because of that early lesson in persistence.
So keep on keeping on, as they say.
Exactly. And Hill makes this point that there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that can replace persistence. You're going to face setbacks, you're going to want to quit, but you have to keep going. He even says that failure, it often carries within it the seed of an even greater opportunity.
You just have to be persistent enough to find it.
Right. And you know what? A lot of times, what stops us from being persistent, from really going after what we want, is fear.
Yeah, fear can be paralyzing. And Think and Grow Rich talks about this a lot. It says that indecision, doubt, and all these different kinds of fear, they're all connected.
Yeah.
And they can really mess with your ability to achieve your goals. Hill even says that these negative emotions, they can block your sixth sense.
Your intuition. Yeah. And he specifically addresses this fear of poverty. He says that this fear, it's especially damaging because it can prevent you from even forming a strong, definite desire in the first place. He says, and this is a quote, "There can be no compromise between poverty and riches."
So you have to choose.
You have to choose. And the choice is between this mindset of scarcity, this feeling that there's not enough, and a mindset of abundance, this belief that you can have what you want. And Hill says that making this choice, it's entirely up to you.
So if fear of poverty is holding you back, what can you do about it?
That's a good question for our listeners. What steps can you take to shift your mindset away from scarcity and towards abundance? Maybe it's visualization, maybe it's reading stories of people who have overcome similar fears, but it's definitely something to think about.
Definitely.
Now, we've been talking a lot about individual application, but our pasted text also points out how big companies use organized planning to achieve their goals. You know, things like strategic planning departments, project management, boards of directors.
Yeah. They have these structures in place to channel all their energy and resources towards a specific outcome.
Right. And it even calls these structures mastermind groups, which is interesting because that ties directly into another key concept from Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, Hill really emphasizes the power of the mastermind. He says it's this incredible synergy that happens when two or more people come together and work in harmony towards a common goal. And he's adamant that nobody, no matter how talented or intelligent, can achieve truly significant success on their own.
So the basic idea is that when you bring together a group of people who share a common purpose and have complementary skills, the combined force is way greater than the sum of the individual parts.
It's like 1 + 1 = 3.
Exactly. And Hill uses Henry Ford as an example again. He says that Ford's success really took off after he formed these close relationships with other brilliant minds like Thomas Edison, Firestone, Burroughs, Burbank. They formed this friendly alliance of minds, and that's what really propelled Ford forward.
So it's about finding your tribe, your people.
Yeah, but it makes you think, how do you actually go about forming an effective mastermind group? I mean, what are the ingredients for a successful collaboration?
That's a really good question. It's not as easy as just getting a bunch of people in a room and hoping for the best. I think the key is to look for individuals who are aligned with your definite purpose, people who have skills that complement yours, and just as important, a positive and collaborative attitude.
Right, so you want people who are going to lift you up, not drag you down.
Exactly. And then, once you have your group, it's important to have regular focus meetings with a clear agenda. And you need to establish trust and open communication. Everyone needs to be willing to both give and receive support.
So it's a commitment.
It is, but the rewards can be huge.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the power of definite desire, I think it's pretty clear that this is more than just some feel-good concept.
Oh, yeah.
It's a fundamental principle for success in every area of life.
It all starts with that desire.
Definite desire gives you focus, it gives you motivation, it attracts opportunities, and it's the foundation for achieving your goals.
And we've seen how this plays out, from individual entrepreneurs to massive corporations across history and in the present day.
And it's not about just wishing or hoping. It's about burning desire. It's about combining knowledge with imagination. And it's about never giving up, even when things get tough.
And it's about confronting those fears that are holding you back.
Exactly. So as we go about our day, I challenge you to take some time and really think about this. What are your definite desires? What is it that you truly want to achieve?
Yeah, what's that thing that's burning inside you?
And what's one small step, just one small action that you can take today to start making that desire a reality?
It all starts with that first step.
Right. Think about Asa Candler and that single powerful idea for Coca-Cola. Think about Dr. Gonzalez and that sermon that got him $1 million. What's your $1 million sermon? What's your Coca-Cola idea? What's that unique thing that you have to offer the world?
What are you waiting for?
Define it, pursue it, and never give up. That's your homework for this week. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
See you next time.
All right, welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're really getting into something that I think is like the secret sauce, the hidden ingredient behind achieving, well, pretty much anything that truly matters. Definite desire.
Yeah, spot on. We've got two really fascinating sources that we're going to be diving into with you today. First up, we have some excerpts that just go straight to the heart of it, break down exactly what this definite desire thing is all about, and more importantly, what happens when you just don't